Hare Krishna Prabhuji. My name is Nikhil Prajapati and I am going to read NCERT line by line, Chapter 2 Biological Classification. Kingdom Monera, Kingdom Protista, Kingdom Fungi, Kingdom Plantae, Kingdom Animalia, Virus, Viroid and Lichen. ये सीक्वेंस में होगा जैसे NCERT का सीक्वेंस है. Since the Druidic civilization, there has been many attempts to classify living organisms. It was done intensively, not using criteria that were scientific but born out of a need to use organisms for our own uses for the food, shelter, and clothing. Aristotle was the earliest attempt to more scientific basis for a classification. He used a simple morphological character to classify plant into a tree, shrubs, and herbs. He also divided animal into two groups: those which had red blood and that did not, in a linear time to kingdom system of a classification with the Plantae and Animalia. Kingdom was developed that include all the plant and animal respectively. This system did not distinguish between the eukaryotic and prokaryotic, unicellular and multicellular organisms, and photosynthesis green alga and non-photosynthesis fungi. Organism classification organisms into a plant and animals was easily done and was easy to understand, but a large number of organisms did not fall into the earlier categories. Hence, the two kingdom classification used for a long time was found inadequate. Besides gross morphological, a need was also felt for including other characteristics like cell structures, nature of a cell, mode of nutrition, habitat, method of reproduction, evolutionary relationship. Etc. Classification system for the living organisms have hence undergone several changes over all time. Through a plant animal kingdom has been constant under all different systems. The understanding of what group organisms be included under these kingdom have been changing. The number of natures of other kingdom have also been understood differently by the different scientists over the time. Classification of a five kingdom. Character is cell type, cell wall, nuclear membrane, body organization, mode of nutrition, and five kingdom have Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae, Animalia. So first character, cell type. Monera prokaryotic, Protista eukaryotic, Fungi eukaryotic, Plantae eukaryotic, Animalia eukaryotic. And cell wall, Monera non-celluloid photosaccharide plus amino acid. Protista present in some, fungi present with a chitin, Plantae present in a cellulose, Animalia absent. And a nuclear membrane, Monera absent, Protista present, fungi may present, Plantae may present, Animalia may present. And fourth, body organization, Monera में cellular, Protista में cellular, fungi में multicellular loose tissue, Plantae में tissue organ, Animalia में tissue organ system. And fifth is mode of nutrition, Monera में autotrophic, chemosynthetic and photosynthetic, heterotrophic, saprophytic, parasitic. And mode of Protista में mode of nutrition autotrophic, photosynthetic and heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Fungi में heterotrophic, saprophytic, parasitic mode of nutrition. Plantae में autotrophic, photosynthetic mode of nutrition. Animalia में heterotrophic, holozoic, saprophytic mode of nutrition. R.H. Whitaker in 1969 proposed the five kingdom classification. The kingdom defined by him were named Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. The main criteria for a classification used by him include cell structures, body organization, mode of nutrition, reproductions, and polygenetic relationship. Table 2.2 1. Give as a comparative account of different criteria for a given for the 5 kingdom. The time domain system has been proposed that divided the kingdom Monera into 2 domains, leaving the remaining eukaryotic kingdom in a 3rd domain and thereby a 6th kingdom classification. You will learn about this system in a detail at the higher classes. Let us look at the 5 kingdom classification to understand the issue. Consideration that influenced the classification system. Earlier classification system included the bacteria, blue-green algae, and fungi, monsters, ferns, gymnosperms, and angiosperm under the plant. The characteristic unified this whole kingdom was that all the organisms, include that all cell in their cell displays together group, which widely different in other characteristics. It brought together the eukaryotic bacteria and the blue-green alga cyanobacteria with the other group which were eukaryotic. It is also grouped together the unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. So, for example, Chlamydomonas spirogyra were placed together under the alga classification, did not differentiate between the heterotrophic group fungi and the autotrophic green plant. So they also show the characteristic different in their walls composition. The fungi has a chitin in their wall and white-green plant had a celluloid cell wall. When such a characteristic were considered, the fungi were placed in a separate kingdom. Kingdom fungi, all prokaryotic organisms were grouped together under the kingdom Monera, and unicellular eukaryotic organisms were placed in kingdom Protista. Kingdom Protista has brought together Chlamydomonas flora, earlier placed alga within the plant, and both having a cell wall, with Paramecium amoeba, which were earlier placed in the animal kingdom, which lack a cell wall. It has put together organisms which is earlier classification were placed on a different kingdom. With this happened is because the criteria for the classification changed. This kingdom change will take a place of future to depend on improvement in our understanding to characteristic evolutionary relationship. Over the time, an attempt been made to evolve and classification system of these reflected on into a morphological, physiological, and reproductive similarities, and but it also hypogenetic and based on evolutionary relationship. In this chapter, we will study the characteristic of a kingdom Monera Protista fungi with Taker's system of a classification. The kingdom Plantae Animalia, commonly referred to the plant animals and a kingdom respectively, will be detailed and separately in a chapter 3-4. Kingdom Monera. Kingdom Monera. Bacteria are sole member of a kingdom Monera. Bacteria are sole member of a kingdom Monera. They are the most abundant microorganisms. Bacteria occur almost everywhere. Hundreds of bacteria represent a handful of the soil. They also live on extreme habitats such as hot spring, desert, snow, deep ocean, where very few other life forms can survive. Many of them lives in other organisms are parasite. Bacteria are grouped under four categories based on their shape and spherical cocci, spherical coccus, pular cocci, rod shape, bacillus, pular bacilli, and a comma shape vibro, pular vibro, and spiral pular spirula. Figure ये सारे cocci, bacillus, spore, spirula, flagellum, vibro. Bacteria different shape. Through the bacteria, structures very simple. They were very complex in behavior compared to many other organisms. Bacteria as a group show the most extensive metabolic diversity. Some of the bacteria, an autotrophic example, they synthesize their own food from inorganic substances They may be photosynthesis autotrophic or a chemosynthetic autotrophic. Was the vast majority of the bacteria and heterotrophic. They depend on the organisms on the deal organic matter for a food. Archaebacteria. These bacteria are special since they live in some of the most harsh habitats such as extreme salty area, halophilus, the hot spring and thermoacidophilus. The marshy area methanogenous archaebacteria differ from other bacteria in having a different cell wall structures and features is responsible for their survival to extreme condition. Methanogen are present in a gut of survival ruminant animals such as a cow and buffalo, and they are responsible for the production of a methanogen biogas formed during their dung of these animals. Eubacteria. There are thousands of different eubacteria. Eubacteria means true bacteria or a true bacteria. They are characterized by the presence of a rigid cell wall and if motile flagellum. And canobacteria, also referred to as blue-green alga, have a chlorophyll, a similar green plant, and are photosynthetic autotrophic. Figure 2.2. Figure 2.2. A filamentous blue-green alga, notochord, heterocyte, mucilaginous sheet. म्यूसिलेजिनस सीट है, ये जो कवर है, एंड ये बीच में है जो हेट्रोसाइट. फिगर 2.2 हो गया. द साइनोबैक्टीरिया एज यूनिसेलुलर colonial or filamentous. Freshwater, marine and terrestrial alga and the colonial the general surrounded gelatinous sheet, and they are often to bloom of the polluted water bodies. And these organisms can fix the atmospheric nitrogens in a specialized called heterocyte. Example nostoc and amoeba. Chemosynthetic autotrophic bacteria oxidize various inorganic substances such as nitrate, nitrite, and ammonia, and use related energy for their ATP's production. They play a great role in recycling nature like nitrogen, phosphorus, irons, and sulfur. Heterotrophic bacteria are most abundant in nature. The majority are important decomposer. Many of them have a significant impact on human affairs. They are helpful in making curd from milk, production of antibiotic, fixing nitrogen in legume. In a legume root, etc. Some are pathogen and causing a damage to the human beings, crop and prey, from animals and pet. Cholera, typhoid, tetanus, citrus cancers are well known as a disease caused by the different bacteria. Bacteria reproduce main by the fusions. Figure 3.3. A dividing bacterium. DNA, cell membrane, and cell wall. Okay, figure 2.3. Sometime under the unfavorable condition, they are produced spore. They also reproduce by the salt sexual reproduction by the adopting a primitive type DNA transfer from the bacterium to the other. The mycoplasma are organisms that completely lack a cell wall. They are smallest living cell known as can survive without oxygen. Many mycoplasma and pathogenic in animal and plant. Kingdom Protista, all a single cell eukaryotic place under the Protista, but the boundaries of the kingdom are not well defined. What may be photosynthetic, protagonist, and biologist may be plant another. This book was included the Crossfit, Dinoflagellate, Euglenidae, slim mold, and a protozoa under the protista member and of the protista are a primary aquatic kingdom from a link with the other dealing with the plant, animals and fungi. Being eukaryotes and a protista, cell body contain a wall defined as a nucleus and a membrane bound organelle with some flagella or cilia. Protista reproduce asexually and sexually by process involving a cell fusion and zygote formation. Christophorus, Chris- cytophosis, sorry, chrysophyte. This group include diatoms and golden algal diamides. They are found in freshwater as well as in a marine environment. They are microscopic and floated passively in water. Currently, plankton. Most of them are photosynthetic in diatoms. The cell wall form two thin overlapping cells which fit together in a soap box, which the wall and embedded with with silica and thus with the silica which fit together, and this wall has the interstitial that thus diatoms has left behind a large amount of cell wall deposit in their habitat. This accumulation over the billions of years and referred to the diatomous earth being gritty. This is soil used for poisoning, filtration, oil and salpy. Diatom are the chief product of the ocean. Dinoflagella. These organisms are mostly marine and photosynthesis. They are appear yellow, green, brown and blue red depending on the main pigment present in their cell. The cell wall is a stiff celluloid and a plate on the outer surface. Most of them have two flated on the lies longitudinally and other transversely in a furrow between the wall plate. Very often red flagellate, example galaxies under such as rapid multiplication that they make the sea appear red. Red tide toxin released by such a large number may very kill other marine animals such as fishes. ठीक है, यूग्लेनिना majority of them are freshwater organisms found in a stagnant water instead of the cell wall. They have a protein-rich layer called bacillus, which makes their body flexible. They have two flagella for a short and a long. Throughout their photosynthesis in the presence of sunlight, when deprived of the sunlight, they behave like heterotrophs by the predating on other smaller organisms. Interestingly, their pigment and the euglena are identified of those present in higher plant. Example euglena. Example 2.4 Diflagena, euglena, slime mold, pericardium. ये D है pericardium, slime mold, euglena, diflagella. ठीक है. Slime mold are a saprophytic parasite. The body moves along decaying twice and leaves along utilifying organic materials. Under the suitable condition, they are formed an aggregation called as a plasmodiums, which may grow and spread over the several feet during the unfavorable conditions. The plasmodium differentiate and form a fruiting bodies bearing a spore, and their tips spore was the truck walls. For the true walls, they are extremely resistant for surviving the many years. Even under the adverse conditions, the spore of the disappeared by air current. Protista. All protozoan are the heterotrophic and live at the predator or parasites. Believed they are believed to be primitive relative of the animals. There are four major groups of the protozoan. Amoeboid protozoan. These organisms live in fresh water, seawater, or a moist soil. They move captured. They move and captured their prey, but putting out pseudopodia false feet. Pseudopodia false feet in amoeba marine forms have a silica sheet on their surface. Some of them are anoba and tamoeba and parasite. Flagellated protozoa are a member of this group and either free living parasite. They are have flagellated parasite from cause diseases such as a sleeping sickness, example tryposomia. Ciliated protozoan. These are aquatic actively moving organisms. Because of the presence of thousands of cilia, they have a cavity cut that open outside the cell surface and a coordinated move of a row. And the cilia cause of water laden with the food to be stressed into the gut. Example Paramecium, figure 2.4. Sporozoan. This includes the diverse organisms that have an infectious spore-like stage and their life cycle. The most notorious Plasmodium malaria parasite which causes a malaria, the disease which has a staggering effect on a human population. Kingdom fungi. The fungi constitute a unique kingdom heterotrophic organisms. They have shown the great diversity in the morphological habitats. You must have seen the fungi on a moist breed and a rotten fruit. And rotten fruit commonly mushroom and eat of the toadstool, and also fungi white spot see on a mustard leaf. They are due to parasitic fungus. Some unicellular fungi, example yeast, are used to make bread and beer. Other fungi cause diseases in plant animals. Wheat rust causing Puccinia is an important example. Some of are the source of antibiotic. Example penicillium. Fungi are composite and occur in air, water, soil, on animals and plant. They are perfect to grow in warm and humid place. Have ever wonder why we keep food in a refrigerator? Yes, it has prevented food from going bad due to the bacteria and fungal infections. With the exception of yeast, which are the unicellular fungi, are a filamentous body of the chitinous along with the cylinder and thread-like structures called hives. The network of hives is known as mycelium. Some hyphae are continuous tube filled with multinucleated cytoplasm. These are called colonocytic hive. Others have a separate or a closed wall in their hives. Cell wall fungi are composed of a chitin and a polysaccharide. Most fungi are heterotrophic and absorb soluble organic matter from a dead substance and hence are saprophytic. Those are that depend on a living plant. And animal are parasitic. They can also live as a symbiotic in association with alga as lichen, and with the root the higher, and with the root of the lichen and with the root of the higher plant as a mycorrhiza. Reproduction of the fungi can take place with vegetative means, fragmentation, fusions, and budding. Asexual reproduction reproduction is by spore. called Conidia or a Sparrow or a zoospore. Sparrow spore or a zoospore, and a sexual reproduction is a oospore, asparagus and bacidophore. The various spores are produce distinct structures called fruiting body. The sexual cycle involves the following three steps. Fusion of a protoplasm between two motile or a non-motile gamete called plasmogamy. Fusion of two nuclei called karyogamy. Mesoic in a zygote resulting in a haploid spore. When a fungus reproduces sexually, two haploid hyphae of the comparable mating type of the some other and fuse in other fungus, and the fusion of a two haploid and imitate result in a diploid cell diploid center. And however, in their fungi Acomycetes and basidomycetes in investing and a dikaryotic stage n plus n. N plus an example, two nuclei per cell occurs such a condition called dikaryon, and a phase it called dikaryophase of the fungus. Later, as the parental nuclei fuse and the cell become lipid diploid, and a fungus of the fitting body which are reduction division occurs lead to as a formation of haploid spore. The morphology of the mycelium's mode of spore formation and fruiting body from the basis of division of kingdom into the various classes. The morphology of a mycelium's mode of spore formation of a fruiting body from the basis of a division of the kingdom into the various classes. Phylosomates. Members of phylosomates are found in aquatic habitat and decaying wood in a moist and damp place, or obligate parasite on a plant. The mycelium is aspected, and coelomate asexual reproductions take place by the zoospore motile or by Apollon spore non-motile. These spores are endogenously produced in a spirogyrum, and the zoospore is formed by the fusion of the two gametes. These are gametes. These gametes are similar in a morphology, isogamous or dissimilar anisogamous or oogamous. Some common examples are mucus, figure 2.5. Rhizopus are the bread and mold mentioned earlier, albumin and parasite fungi on mustard. Fungi, mucus, alspida, B, C, D. Okay. Ascomycetes, common known as saccharous fungi, and the ascomycetes are most multicellular example. Penicilliums are a rarely unicellular example. Yeast Saccharomycetes. They are saprophytic decompositions and parasitic corpuscles growing on a dung mycelium. Is a branch and a separate asexual spore, and conida produced as exogenously on a special mycelium called a coinedophore condition. On the germination produced the mycelium sexual spore are called sporophytes, which are produced endogenously in a sac-like acids, singular acids. These are arranged in a different type of fruiting bodies called as sporophyte. For some example are Aspergillus, Calispus, Neurospora. Neurospora is used for extensively in a biochemical and genetic work. Many members like morels, truffles, and edibles and are considered as delicious. Basidomycetes, commonly known as basidomycetes, are mushrooms, bracket fungi, and puffball. They are grow in a soil on a log tree stem and a living plant body and parasite example rusting and ruminant mucilage and branch and sepals asexual spore are generally not found but vegetative reproductions but by the fragmentation in a common sexual organ and absent but plasmogamy is brought about the fusion to the vegetative osmotic cell. Different strain and genotypic and resultant structures as a dikaryotic which ultimately gives rise to absence and karyogamy. Meiosis take as to place in a basidomyces producing the basidospore. They are basidospore and exogenously produced on a basidomyces purer basidia. The basidia are the origins in a fruiting bodies called basidioscarp. Some common members are as agriaceous mushroom, Eulidigo, mute, and Punia rust fungus. Deuteromycetes, commonly known as imperfect fungi, become because only the asexual or vegetative phase of these fungi are known as. When the asexual form of these fungi were discovered, they were moved into the classes and rightly belong to it. Also possible that asexual and the vegetative stage have been given one name and placed under the deuteromycetes and asexual stages another and placed under the another class later were linkage and were established. The fungi were correctly identified move out of the deuteromycetes. Most perfect sexual stage and a member of the deuteromycetes were discovered. They were often moved in acidomycetes and basidomycetes. The deuteromycetes reproduce only one sexual spore known as Condia and mycelium, the separate and branched. Some members are saprophytic or parasitic, while as a large number of them are decomposer of litter and help in mineral cycling. Some examples are Alternaria, Colectorum, and Trichoderma. Kingdom Plantae. Kingdom Plantae include all eukaryotic chlorophyll containing organisms commonly called plantae. A few members are partially heterotropic such as insectivorous plant or parasite, ballardworts, and Venus flytrap are the example of insectivorous plant and Cuscata is the parasite. The plant cell have eukaryotic structures with a prominent chloroplast and a cell wall mainly made up of celluloid. You will study that eukaryotic cell structures in a detail in chapter 8. Plantain diffuse, alga and bryophyte, pteridophyte, gymnosperm, angiosperm. Life cycle is a plant under two distinct phases in the diploidous sporophyte. The haplophyte, gametophyte, these alternate with each other and length of the haploid diploid phase, and whereas these phases are free living and depend on the other vary among the different group in a plant. This phenomenon is called alternation of a generation. You will study the further detail this kingdom, chapter 3. Kingdom Animalia. This kingdom characterized by the heterotropic eukaryotic organisms that are multicellular and their cell lack a cell wall and directly or indirectly depend on the plant for food. They digest their food in internal cavity and store food reserve as a glycogen or a fat. Their mode of nutrition is a holozoic. By the ingestion of food, the flow of definite growth and pattern, and grow adult that have a definite shape and size. Higher form should elaborate sensor and neurometers and mechanism. Most of them are capable of locomotion. The sexual reproduction is by copulation of the male female following by as embryological development of this silent feature varies phyla and described in chapter 4. Virus, viroid, prawns, and lichen. In a five kingdom classification of a Whittaker, there are no mention to lichen is an acellular organisms like virus, viroid, and prawns. These are briefly introduced here. Now, all us who has suffered the ill effect of the common cold or a flu is known as condition. Virus did not find a place to classification since they are not considered truly living. If we understand living as those organisms that have a cell structures, the various and non-cellular organisms that are characterized by having interstitial structures outside the having a cell. Outside having a cell. RNA capsid. Tobacco mosaic virus TMC. बैक्टीरियोफेज बी है बैक्टीरियोफेज बैक्टीरियोफेज का ये हेड है, ये कॉलर है, सीथ है, टेल फाइबर्स, ठीक है. Once in the infected as the cell they take over all machinery of the host cell and replicate themselves, kill the host. Would you call a virus living and a non-living? Virus means venom. Virus means venom. That poisonous fluid demarriage. Enwoki 1892 recognized that certain microbes are casual organisms or a mosaic disease of the tobacco. These are found in smaller than bacteria because they found the bacteria proof filter. M.B. Beijing King in 1898 demonstrated that extracted of the infected plant of the tobacco cause infectious and healthy plant, and the name of the new pathogens virus called fluid cantonese and viridian fluid and infectious living and VMCT 1935. So as various could be crystallized and crystal considered large protein, they are entered outside their specific host cell. Virus are obligate parasite. In addition to protein, virus alone contain genetic materials that could be either RNA or DNA. No virus contained by both RNA, DNA, and the virus a nucleoprotein and genetic materials is infectious. In a general, virus in infectious plant have a single standard RNA. Virus infected animals have either single or double standard RNA or a double standard DNA. The bacterial virus or a bacteriophages virus that infect the bacteria are usually double standard DNA virus. The protein coated called as a capsid, many small substances called as capstromer protect their nucleic acid, and caspomers are arranged in a helical polyhedral geometry form with virus caused disease like smallpox, herpes, influenza, AIDS in humans, also caused by the virus in a plant. The sample can be mosaic formation, the leaf rolling and curling, yellowing and veins clearing down, and stunted growth. Viroid. In 1971, O.T. Danier discovered a new infectious agent that was similar than virus. and cause a potato spindle tuber disease. It was found to be free RNA. It lacked the protein coated that is found in a virus. Hence the name viroid. The RNA and viroid was the low molecule height. France is a modern medicine. Certain infectious and neutralized diseases were found to be transmitted by the agent consisting of the abnormally found protein. Agent was similar in size to the virus, and these agents were called prions. The most of notable diseases caused by the protein behavior is sporogyro in a spongiform encorcophyphyte BSE, common called mad cow disease in a cattle, and analogous variant called Jacob disease CJD in human. Lichen are symbiotic associations. Example: mutually useful associated between algal and fungi. The alga component is known as a phycobiont, and the fungi component as a mycobiont, are autotrophic, and heterotrophic respectively. Alga prepared for the fungi, and fungi provide the sheltered and absorb the minerals, nutrients and water of the pattern, so close to the association that is saw in like in the natures on the world never imagined they have had to different organizations within them. Lichen are very good pollinator, also indicator they do not grow in a populated area. Okay, so thank you, and again Hare Krishna everyone.